Joining us, KTAR legal analyst Barry Markson. We've got Chuck Coughlin. He's a CEO at High Ground Consulting, and KTAR senior political analyst Dr. Mike O'Neil, all in the studio with us today. And Gaydos, one of the things that I think a lot of people, anytime we have an election in Arizona, immediately they start drumming up either conspiracy theories from the past or looking for problems in the election today. First off, it's a primary. Calm down. Okay. Number one. Okay. Number two, there doesn't appear to be any shenanigans or anything going on. I learned from my lawyer friend Barry a while ago, when people bring these things up, I go, great, who's doing it and why are they doing it? That's all I want to know. How did they do this? I just want to know. And if you can't answer that, shut up. All right? But what is the deal with erasable ink pens?
Don't fill out your ballot with erasable pens.
People are doing it. They're going in there.
Why?
So who
are these people?
Because we had reports that 30 people, and none were in Maricopa County, 30 people in different counties here in Arizona used it. And if you use this pen, but you fill something out and you leave, let's say, the ballot in your car gets hot, well, your vote disappears. And so I'm looking into this, and election directors in Arizona have told people they're seeing faded ink. Don't use an erasable pen. Who's got erasable pens?
I've never been in favor of a test to make sure you're smart enough to vote, but this may be it. This may be it.
It's like an IQ test.
If you vote and your ink erases, you're out.
It's self-enacting.
That's right. Yeah. There you go.
You guys don't get it. It's to make sure that people can't figure out how you voted.
Is that
That's right. It's private.
That's it.
There you go. Because
there's a conspiracy theory here.
But it's not stopping the conspiracy theorists out there from arguing about not only erasable ink, but Sharpies.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I think the erasable ink is on purpose because there are conspiracy theorists out there who only care about the conspiracy. So they're telling you, don't use the pen they give you at the election center. and so they're bringing in their own pens. They're trying to be sneaky because these folks want something to go wrong. There are people on Twitter today saying it's all happening again and it's all blowing up, even though everything's fine, because the conspiracy is more important than reality to them.
So they think the pen that they're going to get handed at the voting center is going to erase your vote. It's not going to count.
And it's not a Sharpie there, by the way. I voted today in person.
I went in.
Felt tip
marker?
pen.
Felt tip marker.
It's a marker. And the weirdest thing about it is they don't give you the cap. It's like you're going to prison and you can't keep your belt.
So they don't get the cap.
They don't get the cap. So my wife voted. She's like, "Look, where's the cap?" I said, "There's no cap. Just put the pen down." So it's weird because you want there to be a cap.
Okay.
So we can acknowledge that a few people actually used a pen with ink that fades if it gets into the heat because it's an erasable
over
pen.
140 degrees.
Right. So we can acknowledge that happened from a few people. That's their fault.
100%.
If you can't figure that out,
that's not a conspiracy.
Just don't vote.
I have a philosophy about life. Most of our wounds are self-inflicted.
Right?
Can't we make that about each other? It's like, okay, we are our own worst enemies, and this is what people do to themselves.
2020, we had Sharpie Gate, right? Remember that ridiculousness?
Oh, yeah.
It'll bleed. The machines won't read
count
it.
the votes on the wrong side of the ballot. Right?
That hasn't happened. Then I tried to remember in 2022, people absolutely brought their own pens.
Oh, yeah.
People were screaming about it. Don't use your own pen. Well, I don't trust the pen. Well, I'm going to use my own pen. Your pen might not work. You got to use the pen that they give you. I don't really want to.
Yeah.
And now this year it's erasable ink.
It's all a scam.
People are brilliant, Gaydos. You'll get there. It's a smart group we have here. It's amazing.
And one of the things that I have difficulty understanding is how many people struggle to understand the difference between a primary and a general election?
A lot of people.
Where I was like, so what is the conspiracy? Are Republicans trying to stop Republicans from voting? Like, I don't understand what your conspiracy argument is. Right. It's a primary.
As you guys know, we are working on to make this our last primary the way we do this.
Your mouth to God's ears.
But there's so many people, and we always meet them now. Like, you tell independents, you can vote in the primary. You still have to request one ballot or the other. I did too.
I got a Republican ballot.
And you're forced to vote a straight ballot, straight D or straight R, despite maybe there's some other candidates you want to vote for. and that's your ability to participate. But you run into independents all the time, and you're like, no way, I can vote. I'm like, yeah, you can.
And I want to say that in here. I've been saying it all day on Twitter. If you're an independent, you can go vote right now. You can go to any of the vote centers. There's 222 vote centers in Maricopa County. Drive over to one. There won't be a line. You can pick a Republican or Democratic ballot, and you can vote today. Yep. And the majority of the seats on that ballot, the positions, will be decided today. Who wins one of these primaries is going to win.
Because they're non-competitive general election races. Yeah. It is the war room.
Let's go into this poll. I'm going to read it.
Oh.
And I want to see what you guys think.
Okay. We're sitting down.
Kamala Harris up 2 points in Arizona, according to a Bloomberg poll. The last poll I saw was Trump +7 over Biden. Now it is Kamala up 2 over Trump in Arizona. How did this happen? Do you believe it? And Bruce, you get another one?
Well, I was going to say, can I give you a little more context to the same poll? It also has Harris leading in Michigan by 11, Nevada by 2. She's leading by 2 in Nevada.
These are places that Trump was winning.
And 2 in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Tied in Georgia, and it has Trump leading in Pennsylvania and North Carolina.
Trump's leading in Pennsylvania?
It has Trump up by 4 in Pennsylvania, up 2 in North Carolina, and tied in Georgia. This one just came out today. This is registered voters.
So let's hit the Arizona poll. Harris +2. I'm not buying it.
It seems a little fast.
Well, first of all, look at all of these things. There's a lot of volatility in one-time state poll. But if you look at the national numbers, Biden was getting beaten by 4 or 5 points. Harris comes in and more or less has a dead heat kind of race. That means she's coming up, and probably in a lot of places. Not exactly evenly. You don't know exactly. The general rise is very, very credible to me. The Michigan number sticks out. That's like, wow. I'd like to see another poll on that one. I did suggest, though I don't think this would fully explain it, Joe Biden managed to piss off both the Jews and the Muslims in Michigan, and that was a work of art. And I think that Kamala on that one, at least initially, came up with a kind of breath of fresh air in a way that was okay with everybody. Right. But that doesn't count for +11.
What about
Muslim community in Michigan's about 3%.
+2 in Arizona, Chuck.
Yeah, all my problems with all of the national polls, as we just talked about, they're asking registered voters.
Okay.
Well, 30% of registered voters don't even participate. So that's a problem. You got to know who you're talking to, and that's generically a problem. Mike and I have talked about this a lot, but that's something to pay attention to, because when you get into likely voters and people who you know are going to vote, those numbers change.
The problem with that, I point out, is that it's hard to know who the likely voters are until at least September. So we get 2 ways.
I know who they are.
You know who they are?
I know who they are in Arizona.
Chuck has
I have their voting records in Arizona. I know when we call them. Yeah, I know when we call them, and they're in our quotas. They're 3 of 3 or 2 of 3, and I know they're going to vote.
Well, that was the 2016 problem. Then some new folks came out who didn't before, and it blew that up.
But back to the other issue.
This is why Chuck freaks me out, by the way, because he knows what my pajamas are while I'm filling out my ballot. I don't like it.
So yeah, use invisible ink there. So you get into this situation and you say, okay, what do we know? And we do know she's in this honeymoon period right now. As Mike just said, you would expect an elevated performance from her. And as Mike said, and we all have said, the whole electorate was in a mass depression over this. 80% of people didn't want Biden. And now you got something else. And you're like, oh, that's great. We got something else. And
can I ask my political smarty pants in the room? The word that comes to my mind when you think of Harris is enthusiasm. I hope we can agree on that. How much does enthusiasm matter? And maybe the follow-up is, how much does it matter in July.
I have to tell you, I think it's huge with her right now, and it's Biden was he was so the opposite of enthusiasm, and you're seeing it with Kamala. She raised $200 million in a week. That's never happened before.
But they were waiting to donate because they pulled the plug on Biden, not the way that you were looking at it.
But hundreds of
the
thousands,
reality is it's $200 million.
right? Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of new volunteers have signed up to help her.
67% of the donations are from new people.
That's right.
Hadn't given. Wow.
I mean, she's really, when you're talking about excitement, that's you can see it. You can quantify.
What is she
the excitement.
doing that is
She's not 80 years old
That's
yet.
all. So it's nothing to do with her.
And there's this too.
So it has nothing to do
she
with her.
will be, if elected, the first female president of the United States.
Right.
That gets back to that Obama coalition of back in 2010 when he assembled that Obama aspirational hope and change
hope thing, yeah.
Right. I mean, that was definitely a part of his narrative, which she now has attached herself
On
to.
the subject of enthusiasm, there was a poll asking about this just prior to Biden dropping out. They asked Democrats the question, are you enthusiastic about Joe Biden? 37% said yes, of Democrats.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
After the the last couple of weeks, they asked about Harris. That number was 81%.
Yeah.
This is it may be short-lived, who knows?
Right.
I mean,
her
this
job.
could
That's
be
the
the
job
bottom
of
of
the
an
campaign,
escalator, or it could be a balloon that
But
pops. But as of right now, I absolutely agree. If I were to use one word to characterize the whole campaign, it would be enthusiasm.
And that's the job of the campaign, is to clothe that enthusiasm with real intelligence about how she's going to govern and how she will act, who she will appoint around her. Do we have both enthusiasm and then building the confidence?
Well, I guess we're going to find out if it's real.
Yeah. Well, it's going to happen pretty soon.
If Trump and Harris start coming to Arizona, right?
Right. Well, it's already starting to happen. J.D. Vance is coming here tomorrow. Kamala's coming. But I have to tell you, the biggest thing for her, and this is the same thing for Ruben Gallego in my mind, is not saying anything stupid, not saying anything too far to the left. She has to portray herself as someone who's center left, who can appeal to a big audience, just like Gallego does. And if they can do that and keep this brand on, I think she's going to be okay.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Listen, it's a game changer, to
and
say
it'll
the
be
least.
Trump's job to knock her off that game.
Sure.
Let's be clear about that.
Sure. Listen, we are inside the war room again. Barry Markson, Chuck Coughlin, Mike O'Neil, the best and the brightest. Are you kidding me? We managed to put them all in one studio.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.